You are listening to the Brand Architect Podcast, and this is your host, Ani Alexander.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Brand Architect Podcast. It's me, Annie Alexander, and today I have an interview where we touch very important topics. I have been thinking about this since a while. I have been seeing the challenge that most of us are getting in terms of the audiences, growing the audiences, reaching out to people, creating the relationships with them, and attracting attention. These days, everything is so overcrowded. There is so much noise. There are so many people who are doing almost the same thing over and over again. Things that worked before but no longer work now. And I'm always thinking about what could be the better, the different and new approach of attracting attention, of standing out, of creating relationship with your audience, because creating relationships with your audience is what is going to make them come to you over and over again. Usually people, when they notice you and they notice your content, they come for your content, but they stick around and they stay for you and for the relationship and for the emotional connection and for the fact that you resonate with them. So how do you reach that? I'm looking for different ways. I'm looking for better options than just email lists and sending out emails to people. And during my research, I came up with something which is relatively new, but it seems that it may be an option, an alternative to all the traditional ways of doing things. So when we get to the interview, you will see what I mean exactly. And we will be touching all the important topics. And hopefully these may be a potential tool, new tool for you to use in order to create your tribe and to create loyalty among your audiences. So you will get more details and you will understand what I really mean by listening to the interview. So let's dive into it straight away. Okay, hello everyone and welcome to the Brand Architect Podcast. Today I am talking to Isaac Tolpin, who is a tech entrepreneur, who is a father and the co-founder on Conveyour. We will definitely talk about that and what it is, and you know it much better, so we'll dive into what it is and how it can help us. But let's talk about how you ended up where you are. Tech entrepreneurship, it's a hot topic. Everyone, it sounds very sexy, but yeah. I'm sure it's a lot of work, and many people are a bit cautious about that stuff because it's pretty complex. So it's much easier to deal with social media and online business, but not everyone gets to tech. So how did you end up being there?
Oh, great question. It's great to be here, Ani, and I love the work you're doing. And I just think that it's like probably anybody else listening is you see a problem you need to solve and you go try and solve it, and one thing leads to another. But really, I'm all about, how can I have an indelible impact on the world? How can I create things or influence people with my information or the tools we create or whatever the case may be to have that impact. And so that's kind of got me into the tech space. I'm actually not a programmer. I'm not a tech person per se, but I am an entrepreneur. I've been an entrepreneur all my life, back to when I was age 9 and all the way throughout. And I've done a lot of things. I've won, I've lost, I've learned a ton, but this is the biggest thing I've ever done. And I've done some pretty interesting things, but this is big because it gives power back to the people to really have personal connection at scale. And that's what I think people are hungry for. Like, receivers of information are hungry for authentic, personalized connection with those they follow, the brands they follow. And at the same time, I believe people that are putting information out there have that hunger to really create a movement, not just have customers, to really create a tribe versus an audience, as Seth Godin would say, to really create something that they don't just buy something from you, but they actually get to experience that content and not just be talked at, but have an experience with that. And so that's what I'm passionate about. That's led into this. The tech company is 7 years old, but the new product Conveyour has been out for about 8 months, and it's just a lot of fun. So.
Oh yeah, I mean, I really like that you mentioned that fact because, personalization and putting your brand or your own identity out there is very important because I think that is the best way to make sure that people resonate with you. Because, it's very easy to sort of read different things, make a synthesis, come up with a blog post, or, record a podcast episode about something, or share your opinions. But it's a completely different thing when you end up doing something which is personal enough to provoke engagement and to get feedback and for the people to sort of, realize what kind of person you are and whether they would like to work with you further or to follow you later on. So let's talk about this. Let's talk about now the biggest challenge that brands are having, and personal brands included, is creating content that is emotional enough to resonate with their audiences. So what is that part? I mean, how even people who don't really feel very comfortable to open up can end up creating something that is valuable and emotional enough that it resonates?
No, great question. I mean, that is the issue, right? People are still sending newsletters out. They're still creating free ebooks as lead magnets to get people into their funnels or just give free value and build their tribe. They might be shooting a video and giving a link to a video or something like that. I think that those are fine, but don't we really want to differentiate ourselves? And I think what really captivates people today is certainly not sending a string of videos to somebody through email, because what's the connotation with email? It's pretty negative. Like, we all use email for the most part, maybe not a lot of millennials, but we're still using it, but it's a negative connotation. And if you're trying to get people to experience your content, that's an optional experience. So anytime something's optional and they're left to the digital device, there's so many distractions. That's a noisy environment. So it's really important that your content is differentiated, and it can't just be, especially if it's video, it can't just be one-way communication. You might get away with that with one video that's 5 minutes or less. But if you're doing multiple videos, if you're giving 3 videos away for free, or if you're building a course with 8 videos, something like that, you want to create an experience where people want to actually engage with that content. They don't want to just sit there and watch and receive, find it in the email, or go on a website and look at it. They want to use tools they're already using. So we got rid of, I believe you've got to get rid of the friction. What's the friction? Which is, well, it's mobile. First of all, it's got to work amazing on mobile. They got to be able to consume it. They got to get it real time. And then people are forgetful. Like, they might watch some of your content and then it just goes by the wayside. So how are you notifying them, re-engaging them to get in that content? And I really believe text message that's personalized is the way to recapture people and engage them into that content. So whether you're really dynamic or whether you're not used to videos much, good content's the key. People want you to get right to it. So develop practical content, deliver it in a way that people want to receive it when you're shooting that video. But remember, here's another barrier that I think people get caught up in, which is, I don't have all the professional equipment. I don't have the quality stuff. What do I put in the background? And I don't know how to edit really well. I mean, I can fix the end and the beginning, but that's about it. So here's a point of encouragement for you. I believe we're in an uncurated world. So that's good news for you, because you don't have to have all these polished videos. What does polished videos say? It says this was a production. What do they really want? They want you. They want the authentic connection with you. And nothing says more authentic connection is some unique real background versus a green screen that you turned into something. And you just edited the front and the back. The key is to make your videos short. Okay. So I recommend 3 minutes or less. You can go to 5 minutes if you want, but I wouldn't go much more. And if you have really deep, complex things you need to teach people with your content, then do more smaller videos and then find a way to make them engaging that brings your videos to life.
Okay, I see. So basically, you mentioned there's something about good content, and you mentioned a few things about it being practical, being useful, and being short enough so it doesn't really, get too long and boring. What else would you say a good content presents?
It's got to be relevant. So you got to know who your audience is. You got to really position. Don't try and speak to everybody. Know who you're speaking to. Really distill that down. Test it. One way you can test it, this is fun, is you can do a 1-question survey. A lot of people send surveys out and they ask a few questions and they get a mediocre response and they learn some things. But everybody can answer a 1-question survey. So when you think about all of these things, think of bite-sized, easy to do. If I get an email from you or a text message from you saying, hey, could you answer 1 question for me? I'm more likely to do that than, hey, will you answer my survey?
Yeah.
See the
true.
Okay. So now, what is it that you would like to hear more from me? So that 1 question, from people that have already consumed your material, you can navigate and find out what your audience actually wants from you. Is it relevant to them? So don't just build something because you're an expert and I think, oh, tons of people are going to buy this. No, test your audience, ask them the 1 question, and then really think about this, have conversations with people, and think about what the audience wants. And then you can also test it with Facebook ads, which is great. You could build a course and you could spend $3 a day, $5 a day on Facebook ads and really test and hone your audience and see if it's responding to them. Or even better, offer something for free and see how people respond to that and test the waters before you put a lot of work into what you're building.
Okay, well, you mentioned something. You mentioned selling a course or content or whatever it is. So, there are many people who are sort of in a rush and they want to put out a content, as much content as possible, as often as possible, in order to start selling stuff and making money online. I'm like, I think that selling from day one may be a little bit risky. You need to build your trust. You need to show who you are. You need to grow your audience first. That's my personal approach. So what is this optimal sort of, way of doing it? Do you do things parallel? You sell and you produce value in terms of free content parallel to each other? Do you wait until you are large enough to start selling stuff? Or, how do you approach it? Let's say I'm starting from scratch. I don't have an audience yet, but I have an idea. I'm good at something. I can create something to sell out of it, which is relevant to the audience I want to reach. How do I deal with that?
Yeah, I 100% agree with you that it just depends what stage you're in, right? So if you're in the stage of building your tribe, or you have an audience, but they're not a nurtured tribe that's really looking for your material, responding to you, you need to nurture that first. And it's like, I remember interviewing Gary Vaynerchuk a few years ago, and he was launching his book, Jab, 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 Right Hook. And he's the epitome of that thank you economy concept of, give before you ask. And so you really need to build value. What is the value of the relationship you have with your fans? And how many of those do you have? And as soon as you start building that and you get momentum, then at some point it'll make sense to test the market by trying to sell something. But you've got to give. So, and when you give, it's got to be really good. One of the biggest mistakes people make is they go, wow, I have these really good concepts. I'm going to save it for what I charge for. No, you've got to give your really good concepts and build your tribe. And that'll force your mind to think of other really good concepts for your course later. And you don't even know for sure what that course is going to be about. You've got to build the tribe. You got to test the market. You got to see what they want. And so I would recommend today, it's a video driven world. Create 2 videos and give them for free. But give them in a format that's interactive and easy to consume. Put it on the front of your website and build your database that way. Social media, maybe it's a Facebook group that you're starting and you're adding people to cultivate community and a movement. But whatever you do, you've got to create a movement out of what you're doing. Quick example, my wife's been blogging for 12 years, so she's in a little different place. but also never monetized it. So that might be the same place as some people on here, where, she's faith-based and, we have kids and she's, an author but she sold, about 5,000 books self-published, but, the author, the book world, you don't make a lot of money. So unless you go big. So what she did is she gave 2 free videos and she posted them on her Facebook, and she got feedback about this. And she really thought about, okay, what is the biggest pain my tribe has that I can solve? And if you solve that with 2 free videos, then you leave them wanting more. And if you leave them wanting more and you're grabbing people with that free content, now you can funnel them into paid content at the right timing. And really only you can gauge that, and you have to test out where you're at. But with the great news on that and encouraging news is she's now making, anywhere from, $20 up to $200 a day, selling this one course with Facebook ads. And that's it. And so she's taking care of the kids and she's making money on a daily basis. And it grew her Facebook page from 4,000 likes to 9,000 likes in the last 7 weeks. So this is relatively new for her. And it's very exciting. So that can be encouraging to people.
Wow, it's good you told that. I mean, we were talking about the problem of people who don't have an audience and are starting to grow it. Now, after a certain period of time, when the audience becomes too large, we get another problem, which is being, keeping the same level of engagement and being personal with them and being able to respond to them in real time, or by responding to their emails, to their comments, and all that stuff. So when things scale up too much, obviously you can't really do an individualized feedback to every single one of them because of the time issue, because of the volume of the people who approach you and all that stuff. So I know many people who have very large audiences who are hiring people to deal with their communication, to give them the sorted out already, like a limited part of the emails to respond to the others and all that stuff. So they are outsourcing part of their personal communication, and some other things as well. So with which probably at some point you are losing the quality of the relationship and of the communication with your audience. So you may end up knowing them less than you did before. You may end up not having this intense relationship and communication with them. So you may end up losing things while you are scaling up. So how do you make sure that, how do you deal with this problem? Because for me, hiring someone who is responding to my emails and let alone writing my own names underneath, so leaving the impression that it's me, that is something completely unacceptable for me personally and for my brand. So what is the other solution? Is there anything better that one could do?
No, great question. It is a challenge. I know a lot of people that face that challenge. I know people over 1 million followers that they have a hard time with precision communicating directly to people and keeping that warm connection with people because you can't control the social media algorithms. So you got to do social media. That's great. And you got to do the ones that you like and do them really well. It's hard to do them all. But you can't control the algorithms. Email, you can't control how many go to spam boxes when you're using your Infusionsoft or MailChimp or something like that. Open rates are usually 20% or less. And it's usually, it works, don't get me wrong, but it's not a way to precision impact people. And so, I believe text message, if done in the right way, is an unbelievable old medium, but leveraged through good technology can be a very, very personal way to scale your communication and actually be very, very efficient. So I'm not talking about, bunch of people texting you back on your personal phone, but I'm talking about creating leverage to segmenting. Let's say you have 100,000 people following you. Well, wouldn't it be amazing if you could segment those groups of people into smaller groups? Because people, what they're starving for today is personal, authentic connection with you. And they'll stay kind of following you on social media, but they may not respond. They lose their responsiveness. The more it's just the email things going out, the more it's just the posts on social media. What they want is, wow, does he or she actually care about me? Do I feel that personal connection with them? Well, how do you do that with 100,000 people following you or 1 million people following you and so forth? I really believe the most important part of your database going in the future, and the people listening that pay attention to this, I believe you'll thank me in about a year or two. Okay. But if you start building your opted in list of cell phone numbers in your database as well as email, it is crucial. Email is not going to get better. Okay. Open rates are going to go down and down and down. It's going to get harder the more emails go out. So how do you connect at scale? Well, what if you could create groups and segment your database into groups, convert your email people database and opt in cell phone numbers, and then grab new ones by giving free value and to give the cell phone number. And now, what if you could text, let's say you're on the side of a mountain, you're in leisure time, and you have this epiphany. You're like, wow, I'd really love to share it with these, 1,000 people in this group in my database. And you could hold up your phone and shoot a video and then write a text real quick and dynamically put their first name in it and send it out to them. And what if they saved your number because you already told them to as your name and their cell phone, and it's a different number than your personal number, so you're not mixing those up, but use a different number in the software, and now you're able to communicate directly with precision. 97% open rate with text messages, but it's not like the bank texting you with some weird code. It's that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about opted-in people that want to receive information from you. They've already agreed to that. And then you text them, it has their first name in it. And when they reply back, it's easy and efficient to manage those responses. And so that's, I think, the new way that people are going to be able to connect when you have a large tribe. I also believe when you don't have a large tribe, it's the right way to start building your database before you make that error of only building email addresses.
Okay, I see. So as I understand, we sort of, get closer to your service and what it does. So let's introduce it first and start sort of, a conversation about what it offers and sort of, I will play the devil's advocate and we'll go from there, I guess.
Yeah. Conveyour has two sides to it. It's text messaging at scale, and it's also ability to turn your expertise into interactive content delivered through mobile. Of course, it works on everything, but it's built for mobile because that's where we see everything going. So I've been in the e-learning industry for a long time. I've had a company that helped people build in WordPress and build elaborate e-learning, and retention is super low. And you're probably a person that cares about people actually receiving that content, learning from that content, and implementing that content. You don't want just a sale. That's not building a tribe. Okay. How many information products out there are just a sale right now? I mean, people buy it and then they don't consume it because it's just hard. Okay. It's got to be delivered through email, and it's got text notifications around it. So those are the two sides, and it works well together.
Okay. Well, I see. So basically, I mean, I truly agree with you in the fact that, no one can run away from their mobiles. So, they may avoid opening emails, they may ignore you on social media, and, they may not be on certain platforms you are on, and they may end up not listening to your podcast because they prefer to listen to music, for example. But mobile is something that is always with them. Most of the people are in their mobiles and watching their screens most of the day. So yes. What I'm a little bit concerned about, I mean, looking at me personally, like when I'm getting an opt-in form which asks for my mobile number, I'm a bit, I don't know, what is your experience? Do people actually put in their mobile numbers in the opt-in form?
They do. I agree with you sometimes, though. It depends on the situation. You might want to make it optional, and you can do that easily. So you can make it optional, or you make it required in the software when you embed the form in your website, and ask for name, email, and cell, or name, email, and optional cell, and I'll text you it right now. And what we're seeing, though, I'll give you a couple examples. Well, one really good example, Jeremy and Audrey Roloff, they're, I think, 25, 26 years old, married couple, and they have a blog on marriage, and they have their normal opt-in on their website, which asks for name, email, and so forth. Well, we did a pop-up that said, hey, would you like this 7-day marriage challenge? Every day I'm going to text you a link to a new video and interactive question. All you need to do is put your name and cell phone number in. Well, they got 10,000 opted in cell phone numbers in the first 7 days. And what it did was, this is a quote from him, it turned my followers into believers overnight. And I think that's compelling, because if you can create an interactive, personalized experience where they feel that connection, so they're watching a video, later they get a personal text from you, and you can set it up all automated, or you can actually text this group of people that are in there anytime. But it creates a whole different feel about the connection with you and how they're consuming that content. So I think, though, the answer is yes sometimes, because it'd be hard to get them to do that if the content's not good enough. If they are already following you, for something like that. So if you're newer, you don't already have a following and brand recognition and things like that, you might want to make it optional. And the system can email them instead of text them too. And then you can grab their cell phone number later in the process once you go out a little bit. Okay. But I think if you're already pretty established and you have a name and you have followers, I would ask for their cell phone number. We're not seeing a difference in that case.
Okay, I see. So depending on what stage you are at, your opt-in, the people who will put in their numbers will increase with the time. Okay, I see. So let's talk about personalization. I mean, personally, I hate when I'm following someone on Twitter and then I'm getting an automated DM, which is absolutely, I mean, you can immediately tell it's automated. It tells nothing about, it's a completely useless and sometimes even pushy because it gets a link, or, the worst part is when you get please follow me on Facebook, and then, from Twitter, they put a Facebook link. And for me, it's that is a complete nonsense for me, jumping from one platform to another and driving people from one place to another. But anyway, so you get all these automated messages and that's when you get this, I can't even explain, but I'm getting this negative vibe immediately, because I'm like, hey, stop, wait a minute, I don't even know you, and you're just jumping on me with some kind of things that you want something from me. So you either want me to go somewhere else, or you want me to buy your book, or you want me to, like your page, or whatever it is. You're just, instead of hello, you just, put a request in, and we didn't even create a relationship at first place. So how is your service working in that respect? So you as I understood, you basically offer something with the opt-in, you're getting their mobile number, so you have this service which can reach them either by email or by mobile or both. So what happens next? How do you make sure that it doesn't really look like a rude automated text message?
Yeah, well, let's talk about the scenario. So one could be you're speaking live from stage and you're telling them to text a hashtag to your number, and boom, they'll immediately get a text from you that you wrote out with their name in it, with a link to whatever content you want in the system. So, how many times is it hard to grab audience from there? Or let's say on the front of your website, you're giving 2 or 3 free videos. So they put their information in and they get a text message from you. Well, these are situations where they're like, yeah, give me the text message. I can't wait for the videos. Right? So it's no big deal. Let's say they've already done that and you're at a coffee shop and you have a thought for them and you want to text them real quick. Well, you would write a text how you would text one person, but you can dynamically put their first name in it and make it really personal. And so what happens is they don't feel like it's that other kind of message. What we're seeing with our customers is really revolutionary. They are getting text. They're sending out these automated text messages around their content. So they're getting a video talking, and then there's like a poll afterwards. They can answer on their phone real quick. Maybe tomorrow they get a personal text encouraging them to keep going. That just feels like a personal touch. It just feels like that kind of authentic connection. Now, where it could be abused, everything can be abused. Don't treat it like email. This is a different medium. This is one that everybody's going to see. So you don't have to do it too much. See what I mean? You just do it enough, and people are going to get it. And now But when you know they get it, how good does that feel? And how motivating is that to actually produce content when you know people are going to receive it from you, or to send a message? Or you might, why do we post to Facebook sometimes? We're in some cool place. Well, why not hold your phone up, shoot a quick video, and text it to your tribe and say, hey, I was thinking about you guys. Sometimes just let them know you're texting it to everybody. That's fine, but it's still personal. Hey, I'm on the side of this mountain. I just wanted to share with all of you. I appreciate what we're doing with this movement, whatever it is. And to say hi real quick from Morocco. Okay. And then it loads as a link into the text message, and you text it out. Maybe not with their first name, because you're on purpose saying, hey, I'm sending this to my community. So I think you alternate, and you do. I think people that are successful selling their information, or brands that want to give great information out there, they are only successful because they understand the importance of authenticity. And so it's really, just not abusing it, using it the right way.
Okay, yeah, I see. So I presume, if I'm not mistaken, if you approach it that way, and you get higher open rates and you are personal, most probably you're also getting a large amount of feedback, because you're provoking engagement and they interact with you, and the possibility that they will hit reply and write something back to you is going to be really big. So how do you deal with that? I mean, if the amount of these people who are writing you back is too big, I mean, how do you deal with that? How much automation is in place for that part? Or because the problem is, most probably someone who has a pretty substantial audience, once they start doing that, I mean, they most probably don't want to sit around and reply to messages 2 hours after they have, for 2 hours, 3 hours after they have sent out something to their, text subscribers, right? So what happens then? Because on the other hand, once you are personal and you get that engagement, I mean, the worst thing you can do is just ignore what they've written, right? So how do you deal with that part?
Well, let's say Bono from U2 sent a personal text to his fans, and let's say you responded back. I think you would understand that he's not going to get back to everybody. You'd be okay with it.
Bono,
so
yes.
it depends, right? It depends on who it is. If you're not Bono, or you're somewhere in between, but you're very successful, but let's say you're just getting this thing going, I would say, wow, someone responded. I'm going to get back to every single one of them because I'm building my tribe. There's not a better way to engage with them. But again, it's not messing up your phone. It's going into the software in a place called Conversations. You hit Conversations, you see all of your conversations. You can get back to them all at once. Individually, but at once. You can cut and paste if you wanted, but it's really, really simple. I recommend personal responses back if you're building your tribe. If your tribe's already built, maybe you're not Bono, but you have 500,000 followers, okay? You can tell people, hey, I'm going to be using this to text message, but I may not be able to get back to everybody just due to the number of people that, respond. And you just pre-frame it, and we have some clients that do that, and it's no problem at all. We have a couple clients that have subscription sites that they pay a monthly for online information. And the retention of people paying that monthly fee has gone way up just because they get those personal text messages, that touch point, and he doesn't respond to them, But every once in a while, if Bono responded to a fan, how much more of a raving fan would they become? So it's really up to the author, and you can set it up if you really do have a lot of followers to where it's not a nuisance. If you don't, then you need to make it a nuisance in your life. It's not a nuisance, right? You're building your tribe.
Yeah, I totally see what you're meaning. So basically, I mean, I guess the interesting thing is, we always sort of, there are always certain trends and the ways people are dealing with social media and online trends and everything else. So you end up seeing like the same thing. I mean, the email was really big in the beginning. Then we went to audio. Or now it's the live streaming, and everyone is talking about sales funnels. And then there is another wave of the sales funnels, the traditional ones you knew. That's not the right way. There is sales funnels 2.0, which is this is the right way to do that, and all that stuff which comes. You have webinars rolling next to it and all that stuff. So I guess everyone is about, okay, what is coming next? And every time you end up basically chasing the other thing, not being too good with what you have learned. Some things become older or they change, and you end up running around all the time. So I think in this case, when you are relying on text, it's very intuitive because you're using it anyway. So you know how to text, and you know how to text it with your style and how to phrase things, and it's pretty much natural coming to you. And you have your phone with you, so most probably you can be more productive because you can do it while you are, in a bus or in a waiting line or whatever it is. So it can be pretty, time saving at the same time as well. Plus, as we said, it's a direct touch point for a person who also has his phone most of the time in his hands. So I guess, when we think about what's coming next, most probably you are right, and this is what will be coming next, I guess. So yeah, I mean, to wrap it up, maybe if you can give people who are interested to use that service few tips, like, I don't know, that the most successful things or functions that your people are using and it works best for them so far, that would be really useful.
There's a lot of noise and there's a lot of things to learn, and marketing is changing all the time, but it doesn't mean everything that people are saying out there is the right way to do it for you. Marketing's a little bit of an equation for each independent brand because your audience is a little bit different and things like that. What is universal, though, that people respond to text messages. So at a very basic level, how people usually start is they go, you know what? I do want to give people an opportunity to start giving me their cell phone numbers. Well, how do I start collecting cell phone numbers? You can't just ask for a cell phone number. You have to give them enough values to where they want to give that to you, and they want to receive a text message from you. Part of the motivation, too, is that they don't want another email. Oh, he's going to text me 2 videos right now, a link to 2 videos right now. Sweet. I'll put my info in. Okay. So I think that at a minimum, whether you're building a tribe or already have a tribe built, or you're a brand, you're a company, we have major companies using it, to give people an opportunity to receive content by them giving you their cell phone number, either optional or make it required. That's just an easy way to start. Shoot 2 videos, put a simple campaign together. What's also, we didn't mention, is that when you shoot videos, the technology brings your videos to life. So there's even less dependence on the editing. It's got to be clear. It's got to be good. But you can ask a poll question. There's 9 engagement formats, or it could be like an online journal afterwards, right on their mobile device, and to make engaging content so where it has that 2-way communication with them. And so I would create the 2 videos. I would literally put a couple engagement things after it, so it feels like a differentiated experience. I'd give it on the front of your website. I would give it when I'm speaking. I would make those 2 videos about whatever the biggest pain I feel my audience, needs solved and would want. And I would shoot those, put them in there. It's simple as that. My wife did it one day. Next day it's on Facebook. Next day we validated that was the right way to go. And, 2 more days, she built a course with 11 videos in Conveyour, and very easily. It was more engaging than any other platform you could build it in because it's right there and it has text message notifications. And then boom, about a week later, we figure out Facebook ads and she's making money. I mean, it doesn't always happen that fast. Obviously, I know the service well because I'm one of the co-founders. But so I'm not saying everybody will have that fast thing, but it's work. It takes work. If you're going to be an online marketer, or you're going to sell information, or you're going to give information, you have to be very in tune, and you have to make an agreement about that. Because it's not like, oh, I'm just going to make this, it's going to sell. No, the online marketing side of your business is a whole nother side to your business that needs regular attention and learning. And so I encourage people to do that, whether it's Conveyour or not. You've got to commit yourself, go, no, I need to become an online marketer if I'm expecting to sell information, because just because my wife's Facebook ads are working right now, next week they change the algorithms and you might have to make an ad. You might have to change things up. It's a moving target, but it's a fun thing to figure out and create leverage and build your database. And so most importantly, first starting point again, start collecting opted-in cell phone numbers as well as email addresses.
Okay, I see. Yeah, clear. So definitely start with that, and I really loved what you said about actually putting in work and not stopping from the point when you have sold something to the person, because that person does not stop being your audience. Once he pays, right?
You've got to have the invincible spirit of an entrepreneur. If you're going to selling your information, it's like, it's not going to work. You're going to launch and something didn't work that you didn't check, and you got to fix it, and you can't get discouraged and go, oh, I guess I'm not going to be good at this. If you want to be good at this and you want to succeed at this, I believe you absolutely can figure it out. It's just whether you're going to persevere long enough to figure it out. That's why most businesses don't succeed, because people don't persevere. And so it's the same thing here. You may be a great speaker, trainer, consultant, but doesn't mean you're just going to put that online and people are going to buy it. So that's a whole nother side of things. Everybody's got to learn if they want to participate.
Okay. So I guess the logical wrap up will be telling people where do they go and get more details about the service and check it out.
Yeah, thank you. Go to conveyour.com. That's CONVEYOUR.com. So it's like convey your message. So that's how you spell it, one Y in the middle. And you can hit pricing. It's very cheap. It's a software. You just pay a monthly service and you can build your own stuff. You get your own phone number right away. And with your local area code, you pick your number and boom, you're off and running, and you can create something pretty fast to start building the database that I promise you in 2 years, you'll be thanking me that you have 10,000 opt-in cell phone numbers or 100,000 opt-in cell phone numbers or whatever it is. Because as Seth Godin says in his book Tribes, you want to build raving fans. You don't want just an audience. You don't want just customers as a brand. You want to create raving fans, and you'd rather have 1,000 raving fans than 1 million just followers.
Absolutely. Yeah, totally makes sense.
Today, more than ever, it's personal, authentic connection that matters.
Absolutely. I totally agree with you there. That's why I'm not really a fan of the tactical SEO and, non-human ways to push sort of, traffic your way. Because, I want people to come to me because it's me, not because I used the right keywords, right? So... Okay, well, thank you very much. It was really interesting. I will check out the service because as I said before we started recording, I didn't on purpose to be able to ask you stupid questions to make sure that we covered everything. So yeah, I'll do that. Well, thank you very much. It was really nice to have you over, and I hope it was useful.
Yeah, it was great. I love being here, Ani, and love what you're doing. So it's great to meet you.
Well, it seems like that's all I had. These days, many different new tools and applications and services are coming to the market. And I'm usually trying to have my hands on the pulse and make sure that I know about all the upcoming new things that may help us create relationships with our audiences, that may help us attract audiences, stand out from the crowd, be noticeable, and be heard. So anytime I come across something that is quite interesting, I will try to get an interview and more details about that, so you are in the know, and even if you don't use it or don't try it, at least you know it exists and maybe consider it for the future. So that's all. Thanks a lot for listening. Please do share the episode for those who you think will benefit from it. Please spread the word about the podcast if possible, and if you subscribe and leave a review, then you will be making my day. So take care. care. Have a great weekend because it's really, really close. And I'll meet you in the next episode.